Victoria Simmons with this week's edition of the Georgia Post Review. My co-host is Kristi Watkins. Our guest today is Rick Sharon, with Crawford County Emergency Management. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Vicki, very happy to be here.
Good. So, Rick, tell us, a little bit about yourself, and then tell us what emergency management does.
Well, I've been involved in emergency services for several years now. I'm a volunteer for the local fire department here in Crawford County, and for a short time I worked at the sheriff's office, and so now I moved over to emergency management, and I really enjoy that position. So emergency management, again, there's three parts to it. There's preparation for any major catastrophe that may occur in a county. And then the second part of it is being able to respond to it, or being the middleman, as you might say, between the local response forces here in the county and state and federal government. And so anytime we have an incident or major incident that local resources can't handle or can't respond to, or it just gets overwhelmed, and then we have to call for help, usually from surrounding counties or from the state or federal government. And I work with the GEMA, Georgia Emergency Management Agency in Atlanta, and through them we get the resources that we need to respond here in the county. The last part of it, which is the mitigation part. This is after the incident has occurred, but there's still ongoing work to be done, and I'm going to use Hurricane Irma, because that's the most recent emergency that we had. The event actually only occurred 24 hours and it was over and gone. However, it took the county 5 months to clean up after that. And so again, there was a great deal of paperwork and communications between Atlanta and Crawford County. Documents and everything and all that, and we had to tabulate work hours and what exactly the damages were that occurred to county. Again, Hurricane Irma, Crawford County was declared an emergency, part of the emergency declaration that was, again, a presidential declaration for the state, which made the county eligible to be reimbursed for part of its expenses. Now, again, that particular Hurricane Irma was not, our expenses for the county was about $12,000 for the county, and the city suffered about the same amount. Wow. Again, the county was reimbursed $9,000 out of that $12,000, and so again, as I say, between GEMA and then working with FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. Again, they checked to make certain that we had everything we needed to respond to it, and in this case we did not need any assistance from state or the federal government, but those resources were available if we needed them.
So did the city get any money back?
The city did, but I'm not certain. It's roughly the same amount. Again, under FEMA standards, the city is considered a separate entity, and I work with the city, and then under state standards, and this gets a little complicated, there's only one emergency management per county, every county in the state, other than a couple of exceptions to that. But again, so I respond to, or my coverage responsibility is the whole county, not any part of it.
Right.
So it's.
How much training goes into that? What do you have to?
Training. Again, not just locally, not just me, but now that's part of the preparation part of it. I'm required to have 25 hours a minimum of training a year, and then to attend meetings. Again, we have monthly meetings that's somewhere within what we call Area 4 district. It involves 22 counties here in Middle Georgia. And I attend those meetings, and then they have training classes that also are set up both at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center and then other courses throughout the state. Again, conferences that we have to go to. And so all that keeps me pretty busy as far as in preparation. Again, back to preparation. Again, we try to keep the county as prepared as possible. The 8 early warning sirens fall under emergency management, and we have a contract with making communications and keeping those up and going. But again, I monitor them and make certain that they're tested at least once a month. The emergency generators in the county, again, they require upkeep and maintenance and checks. And so it's the code red warning system, which again, I advocate that's the best system we have in alerting the citizens of Crawford County of any pending emergency coming into the county.
And if they hadn't, they can sign up for that.
They can sign up for it. Yes, it is. The county does pay for it, but it's free for everybody to sign up for it. And so we encourage as many people to keep signed up for that as much as possible.
Can they sign up on the county website? Or?
Yes, the county website, if you go to Crawford County's website, which is crawfordcountyga.org, and scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see the code red emblem, and you just click on that. There's, you have to input your address and your phone number and who you are, and that's basically it. And then you're on the roster as far as being notified. And again, we test that once a month too, but it's a very limited number of people that get tested as well. So
well, how many sirens?
The county has 8 sirens. Again, one here in the city. I'm going to try and name them if I can keep them on track here. You've got one at the west, about 3 miles out from the city, and my roads are missing me. Another one south end, Jackson Road and Rowell Road intersection right there. The other 4 sirens are at the east end, southeast end of the county, where most populated area are at. The sirens, again, are only effective really if you're outside and you can hear the siren.
Yeah.
And the way houses are constructed today, if you're inside, you're just about not going to hear it.
So it's best to get signed up on that code red.
Get signed up on code red. Right now, there's no plans to invest in any more of the sirens. Again, technology is about gone past them. And so,
yeah.
Again, they're very beneficial to me here in the city of Roberta, and the school system hears the sirens, and so.
Yeah, we can hear them.
You hear them? Okay, when we test them? Okay. And that test is done on Wednesday mornings, sometime between 9 and 12, once a month. And we have a couple of prerequisites. Is that one, we have to have somewhat of clear weather. You know, we're not going to set them off if we've got an impending weather-related incident coming in, so obviously we're not going to do it. And usually I notify the leadership of the county before I set it off. And again, any one of those can call me up and say, hey, please don't do this. And the school system called me, was last April or last May, asked me not to do it because they were doing high school testing over there. Graduation testing, and so obviously we didn't do it. We just postponed it to the next week. And
So can you tell us what happens when we're about to have an emergency? What do you do?
if we have warning enough, and most of our incidents are weather related.
Right.
And again, I'll go back to Hurricane Irma. Usually we had 4 or 5 days advance notice that it was coming, but we didn't know the exact direct path. The same thing with the recent hurricane.
Florence? Was it Florence?
Florence. It was Florence. Again, we were all the county EMAs are kind of put on standby, and fortunately for Florence, now that went north and didn't impact our area within once they determined its exact path. Well, then we were all put back in non-emergency status. Back to Hurricane Irma. Okay, we had, again, about 5 days pre-notice that storm was coming. And so locally, we gathered all the first responders, fire department, sheriff's office, and road department, and health department, Red Cross. We all got together and made certain that we were prepared as much as we could be. on that Friday morning, again, the hurricane hit Monday, I conferred with the county chairperson and county commissioner, and we decided, because of the impact that the traffic was having on 341 out here, that to go ahead and send in our local emergency declaration. And so we did that, and then when that occurs, that gives the county commissioner chairperson more of a direct path or direct alert mechanism where we can get things done very quickly if we need to without going before the board. But we always have to follow up afterwards. But again, there's a number of different things that again open us up, especially if we need immediate state aid or something. Okay, that was on that Friday. The Sunday right before, we had another meeting making certain we were prepped and ready for it. The hurricane hit our area, began impacting our area that Monday morning, and the biggest immediate thing we had was our power lines started going down. And I want to say close to half the county's residents was without power for a certain amount of time, anywhere from about 8 hours all the way up for about 5 days. And then we had, again, that particular storm, our biggest problem was the wind and wind damage. We had 40 miles per hour gusting to 60 miles per hour here in the county, knocking down trees and debris on roadways. And that's what took the longest of getting it all cleared up. And so it's, again, that went from that Monday all the way to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when we finally started going back to normal operations. Other than the road department, again, as I said, it was December time frame before we were able to let GEMA know and FEMA that we had collected all the debris in the county, and it had all been chipped and by a contractor, and then road department was back to normal again.
Well, I know the school stayed closed due to the roads.
Yep, and the school's part of our emergency committee, and they were closed. Again, they make the determination. I just provide them with information coming down. Again, one important thing that I did mention is the Emergency Operations Center was activated again that Friday, and we didn't shut down again until that Wednesday.
Do you call it like a command center?
Yes, it's a command center.
That's what they used to do.
We established a command center. We open it up. Basically, it's just my office, and establish direct communications with the command post, as you would say, in Atlanta. So it's.
Do you conduct drills or whatever, including like public drills, where in case we're going to have? That's
part of preparation. Again, we do training, but when for emergency management, again, all the departments, sheriff's office, fire department, other agencies all do their own local training. You know, again, fire department just got their burn facility opened up on here on Station 7 at 341 South, and they've been really heavy about doing their own local exercises and training up there. Now, emergency management, we do multi-agency exercises. And again, both locally, when we have multi-agency, sheriff's office, fire department, EMA, other agencies may be invited. We are looking at 2 local exercises coming up here. We're in the planning stages of those now. And 1 state, Middle Georgia, Central Georgia exercise, the communications outage exercise next May that we're planning on participating in. So but we do different exercises, again, throughout the year. I'm trying to go back here. We've done a mass casualty exercise recently, hazard materials exercises, and again, those are very limited on what we can actually do without calling in other resources.
Right.
So
in an emergency and we have to set up a place for people, where would that be in the county?
That's another part that comes under emergency management, and that's the shelter. And right now, as I speak today, the emergency shelter is the old middle school gym behind the Board of Education. But we are looking at moving that to the new community center that's going to be back behind the government offices. And so it's already been inspected by the health department. They're very much in favor of it, and the Red Cross is coming out this week to inspect it. And the Red Cross is the agency that actually runs emergency shelters and sets out all that up. We have to establish a place for it and be prepared to support it.
Well, I know that when the city was trying to get the generator to go for the water and sewer pumps or whatever that was that y'all were working on, I mean, you helped, you know, the city with that, trying to figure out a way to.
Okay. Now the city has an interface. They do not have a water plant a generator at the water plant right now. We're working on a grant to get one put in down there. But we are prepared. They do have an interface where we can connect an emergency generator to their system down there.
In case it's shut off for several days.
In case it's shut off for several days. So we have that in place. What we really want, and we're eligible for a grant, and we're waiting for word back on it now, whether or not we're going to be approved.
Well, good.
So you've already submitted that?
That's already been
Okay.
submitted. We've been pre-approved by GEMA, have not been approved by FEMA yet.
Oh.
So it's all a complicated process.
Yeah, red tape moves
Red
much
tape.
slow.
But that's another thing that you help with.
Yes.
Is anything that has to do with the emergency
Yep.
services
And-
that are needed
Mhm,
for the
preparation for
community
it.
and county.
So it's, we are, the county has two 60K generators. That's part of our preparation, backup for electrical, trying to meet the emergency electrical needs of the county. And these are for government public facility generators. We can't put them in anybody's house or anything. We're
Right.
prohibited by law to do that. So we just need to keep the government and the roads and all that running, and that's our main purpose of that. Now, when an emergency does exist, if you have a fire or something like that, again, fire department's going to respond, and they go onto your residence and everything to resolve the emergency. Same thing with the sheriff's office. But for non-emergencies and getting emergency power for your residents is not considered really a county emergency.
Right, because you got to make sure that you're taking care of the citizenry.
Mhm.
I understand
Yep.
that. It makes.
And so we just don't have the resources to
Right.
reach out to everyone.
Right. So in an emergency, the Red Cross supplies the supplies. You don't have to.
We have some supplies over there. We have some cots and some materials on hand over there right now. We can open the shelter within an hour's notice. The Red Cross's main office is in, where am I thinking at? Our supply would either come from Macon or it would come from Columbus. And that's where they have their backfill of supplies and everything. We also, again, back to Hurricane Irma, we made the decision, since Peach County already had their shelter open, we decided not to open our shelter locally. Again, that one was already open, already established, and for resource purposes, we didn't see the immediate need of having our shelter open.
Right.
So, again, we work with other counties around us to try to meet everybody's needs, and it worked out great. So, the few people who asked for a shelter, and I'm not aware of anybody in Crawford County that did. There's also the churches and some other organizations in the county that have the capability of opening a shelter, and usually they let me know that if they're needed, they're ready to respond. So, ready to assist us in any way they can.
So in an emergency, what does the citizen really need to know, and what do they need to do?
Okay. Again, keep up with local news, and again, that's another mechanism that we have of keeping the citizens informed as to what's occurring. Hurricane Irma, we sent out a code red message that morning asking residents not to drive or limit their driving as much as possible on the roadways. And so the best thing that they can do is again, stay attuned to the news and the information that we try to get out to the citizens. As far as being prepared for themselves, again, the standard is every household in the county needs to have 3 days supply of food and water. You know, that's what we try to get out to everyone and be prepared to that level of preparation for individually being ready for any kind of event that might impact their household wherever they may be in the county. You know, the power companies are great in responding out here in the county. You know, but if as I say, during Hurricane Irma, we had nearly half the residents of Crawford County without power, and so unfortunately, you know, it wasn't Crawford County. It was all the counties surroundings. Well, really, everything from the Florida-Georgia border going all the way up past Thomaston that was impacted by that hurricane. And so they're not just responding to us, but they're trying to meet everybody's needs. I know there was areas in Bibb County that was without power for 4 or 5 days too. So it can get complicated as far as from even their end, trying to get power restored for everyone.
Yeah.
And so
and people don't understand that always. They think, oh, I need my power.
Yeah, I need my power back on. And again, the sheriff's office.
We're so adapted to just
it's always
we take
here.
it for
I gotta
granted.
charge
Yeah,
my
we take it for
phone.
granted.
Well,
But,
I went outside to my car, cranked the car, and charged my phone.
So, what was it? 1st of August, we had the big tree down here at the intersection of 128 and 341 that came down and took out power for 8 hours. And so that impacted about half the city of Roberta. So, fortunately, it was just 8 hours. But again, we do get calls. When's the power going to get turned back on?
I know.
And we just say, you know, be patient. They're out there. They're working on it. And so it's these catastrophes do happen. And sometimes, I know the sheriff and I talked afterwards. We got no pre-notice for that when that tree went down. And all of a sudden, I said, I didn't either. You know,
It was a quick little storm that came
it was a
through.
quick little storm that comes through, and sometimes that's what catches us a little bit off guard. And again, the resources are here. We responded to it. City of Roberta Police Department, you know, another agency, and I left them out, and I apologize for that. They're a great group of folks over there that responded to that tree when it went down, and they were same thing with the again utility department here in the city, as well as the county agencies that responded to it. And so we are set up. We are prepared. Again, Georgia Power, Flint Electric. Again, they're on standby, and they have people on standby ready to respond to these things.
Does that include Fort Valley Utilities too? So some people have.
And Southern Rivers in the north end of the county. And so it's all of them get out to us as quickly as they can to resolve whatever the catastrophe is, and then we all go back behind the scenes again, and nobody sees us anymore.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Until till the next incident occurs, where we've got to get back out there.
Is Irma the worst thing we've had most recently? Or?
No, the flood of 2016, 2015, again, not many folks, again, that didn't impact. A lot of roads were impacted, a lot of culverts were. We had $200,000 worth of damages to the county on that. And, not 200, 100,000, a little 130,000. And we got $55,000 back and reimbursed on that from the state and federal government. And so it's part of it. Again, EMA again is part of basically an insurance policy, and then we have to keep that program up and going as far as getting reimbursed in funding for the resources that the county puts out trying to respond to some of these calls, especially when they get that flooding. It took out several culverts. It impacted some bridges in the county. And the reason we were able to be a part of that is that it wasn't just Crawford County. It was a lot of counties along the Flint River that were impacted by that. We were able, between the group of us, to get enough amount of, financial-wise, enough damages to report it to the federal government, who, again, the president signed off on a federal declaration for that. And so, yes, just like the tree that came down here in the city, we're not going to get a federal declaration on things like that. And usually it takes multi-counties having that kind of level of damages in order for Crawford County and able to get reimbursed for some of the impacts financially to the county. So it's,
Yeah, and see, the normal average citizen doesn't think about all that, you know, what goes on behind the scenes and all that's involved.
And in Crawford County, the EMA position is a part-time job.
Yeah.
And so it's
Full-time job, but part-time position.
well, it works out. And so it's, yes, there's a lot more that we could do, but I think we're balancing our needs with what our capabilities are in the county. So it's.
What would you like to see change in the future if, you know, funds become available, or?
To improve our alerting system as much as we can. Where our backup power needs to be a little bit better than what they are. There's some parts of our local businesses and industries that could benefit from, again, improving their facilities. School system, yes, I'd like to get the alerting system a little bit better over there if we had the capability. So that's what I'd like to see, and we're working on it. You know, it's the county budget and everything. There's other agencies and all that takes part in that, and so it's all balanced.
Yeah, and you can,
So
you know, you can only do so much with the money that you got, so
yes,
you have to.
that's it.
It's a.
So, but we apply for grants and try to get some of those to help us. This is some funding. We moved the Emergency Operations Center. Again, the new government county complex opened last December, and so which meant, again, moving all those offices and agencies from their old offices and down to the new complex down here and setting it all up and everything. And that's, again, that was a cost even in emergency management. That, but it all comes together.
Yeah.
And so we have a better facility now.
Yep. Yeah, and you have more room out there, though.
We have more room. I think it's a whole lot better operating system there now, and I think most of the citizens would agree that that's a great facility that we have now over there.
Yeah, it saved the county a lot of money from having to build later. Yeah, that was
So
a blessing.
So it's.
Well, anything else you want to add about EMA or that we should know, or?
I think that about covers it.
Well, we appreciate all that you do, and we thank you, because you're also a volunteer fireman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and we appreciate all that you do, and we thank you.
Okay.
Well, we thank y'all for being with us today. Our guest has been Rick Sharon with the Crawford County Emergency Management Service, and I learned some things, so I hope that you did too. Thank you so much, Rick.
Yes.
We'll see you next week on our program, the Georgia Post Review, and we hope you have a great week. 3, 2, 1.